video series that I am starting today where I review movies from the past or present, or maybe even some in the future. I can give you my little intake on how I think they're gonna be, and then I'll watch those movies, and then I'll give you a review after they release. To start this new video series off, I'm going to review the movie that I saw last night in its opening night, the new Lion King. I saw this with my wife, my friends Josh and Garrett, and we saw it last night about 9:30, and there wasn't a big crowd at all. I thought it'd be sold out, honestly, in my opinion, because it's so anticipated and hyped up. But yeah, I'll go ahead and give you my honest take on how I felt. And just a quick little reminder, of course, this movie just came out yesterday, so obviously spoiler alerts. If you haven't seen it, you might be planning on seeing it tonight, and if you want to watch this video in order to kind of base your opinions on it before you see it, I don't know how you want to watch your movies, but just letting you know, spoiler alert on some of these. Okay, what I'd like to touch on first is the opening scene, of course, the iconic opener that all of us remember as children, Circle of Life, all that good stuff. A lot of people were basing their opinions, even before seeing this movie, on just this scene alone. They said if it didn't do it justice, if it didn't do the animated version justice, then they're just walking out of the theater, which I agreed with. I mean, if you're not going to do this part of the movie right, then you're not going to do the rest of the movie right. So, but that being said, the opener of this movie stayed true to its originality. It did the animated version justice. It made you feel like you were actually watching the original movie right there in the theater, and I think they did that very well, and I'm so glad that they stuck with what they knew best. And now moving on to what really drew me to this movie was the use of the live-action CGI. I have seen movies that have attempted to use live-action and failed miserably, but for this movie, they did it justice. I mean, it was very well done as far as keeping the real-life aspect of the of intact, with how the lions walked around and the zebras walked around, and even the hyenas. I mean, all the accuracy of the animals were really kept intact, and I was glad that was the case, because I was very concerned as to how that was going to work. So good on you. And now I think my favorite thing about this movie and this review of mine is the fact that James Earl Jones decided to reprise his role as Mufasa, and I think that is something that the movie needed. And if it weren't for James Earl Jones's voice contributions to this movie, I don't know if it would have worked as well as the part of Mufasa. I don't think that part would have worked as well as it did had James Earl Jones not reprised his voice. And now, staying on the topic of voice actors, John Oliver as Zazu, excellent choice in my opinion. I really think that whoever was responsible for throwing John Oliver's name in the hat of being responsible for portraying Zazu's voice was an excellent decision, and I'm really glad that they decided to have John Oliver in there. I love his show on HBO. He's a very funny man, and he added a good comedic dimension to this movie. But in certain parts of the movie, he stayed, serious and very true to the part of Zazu. So he didn't overdo it, which is something that I'm so glad that he did not do, because I know he's capable of doing that. But he kept it a very good medium, funny when he should have been and serious when he should have been. So instead of the other way around. Hope I'm not alone in this. Keegan-Michael Key. Okay, I like him as an actor, and he's a good person off the screen and everything like that. He's a very funny man. But he does not need to be in every single movie that is coming out in this year. He's kind of like Kevin Hart. Again, like Kevin Hart and his stand-up and everything like that, but in movies, he does not need to be in the roles that he is, being portrayed in. Same with Keegan-Michael Key. Here with the voiceover, I mean, I know he's a hyena, and hyenas laugh, and, they're a little bit of comedic relief. But Keegan-Michael Key, every single line he says in this movie is something to attempt to make you laugh, and he tries too hard to be funny in this movie, and the jokes, like if an actual child is watching this, the jokes are going to go way over their head. His comedy is, pandered towards the adults that watch this movie now, that watch the original movie. Keegan-Michael Key, in my opinion, did not need to be in this movie. They could have had 1,000 different voice actors for this main hyena, but they went with Keegan-Michael Key, and I just don't understand why. But I just didn't like him in this movie, that's all. The casting choices for Timon and Pumbaa. Now, I had very low hopes for Seth Rogen coming into this movie because he is one of the actors that I cannot stand in Hollywood. He's funny sometimes, but he's about the same in every single movie he's ever going to play. He's a pothead, and he's low on money and everything like that. It's just, we get it, Seth. You like to smoke marijuana. But in this movie, he did a excellent job as Pumbaa. I don't think there's anybody else that could have portrayed this role as well as he did, with that groggy kind of voice that Seth has, and his laugh is trademark, and that bothered me whenever Pumbaa laughed in the movie. But other than that, I think that he did the role of Pumbaa very well, and he was funny when he was supposed to. Here and there, he forced a joke every now and then that didn't land with me, but landed with other people, so to each their own. But Timon is my favorite in this movie, character-wise and choice of voice actor-wise. Billy Eichner portrayed the voice for Timon in this movie, and I think that it was an excellent choice. I mean, Timon, the delivery of his lines and the chemistry that he had with Seth Rogen and their characters, just excellent. Just like the original Lion King, they were my favorite in that, and they're my favorite characters in that movie, and now here they are as my favorite characters in this movie. So very good job by Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised with that. And now moving on to the voice actor choices for adult Simba and adult Nala, Donald Glover and Beyonce respectively. I love Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, whatever you want to call him. I love his music. I loved him on Community. I love Donald Glover and his early YouTube channel, Derek Comedy, back in 2006 or whatever it was. But him as being casted for Simba just did not mesh well at all. Donald Glover, he's a good actor here and there, but I don't understand whose idea it was to make him the voice actor, because Donald Glover, his voice is just a little too high sounding for someone as big as a lion as Simba is, or it turns out to be. It needs to be someone with a deeper voice. I can't really think of anybody who would be a good replacement, but I just don't think that Donald Glover was the right choice. Good singing and everything like that, but the speaking lines didn't hit the mark with me. And then we move on to somebody like Beyonce as adult Nala. I don't know how to put it nicely, but Beyonce is a terrible, terrible actress. The only movie I remember her being in before this one was Austin Powers Goldmember. And, that was back in 2002, so she was relatively young and unknown then. She was still with Destiny's Child. But she does not belong in movies. If they were to use her voice just for the singing parts for Lion King, yeah, fine. Because we all know that she can sing beautifully. But her speaking lines, it's as if she was, the whole time she was in the studio and it was her turn to say a line, she would just look at it. And her, that's the vibe I was getting. She cannot properly speak her lines. I mean, she just sucks. She sucks at lines. That's all I can say. Great singing. And finally, I'd like to touch on the accuracy of the storyline of this movie. There's a lot of people who complain that this movie is way too similar to the original movie, which is why they didn't care for it so much. In my opinion, if you're going to redo a movie that is iconic as this one, you need to stick to the storyline, because it would bother the crap out of me if this movie was done any differently than how the original Lion King was made. And so I am so glad that they stuck almost scene for scene in the storyline of this movie. They kept true to what happened in the original one, and then they transferred it over to this live action CGI, which I think is an excellent choice to do. And so I could not be happier that they stuck true with the original 1994 Lion King storyline. So thank you so much for doing that. At this point in the video, after I throw in my little things I liked and things I didn't like, at this part of the video, I'm going to kind of give you my rating of the movie. But for this movie, I'd give it probably about, out of a 10, I'd give it a 6. Like I said, the accuracy of the storyline really did it for me. The use of good CGI, the casting for Timon and Pumbaa, because those are very, very vital to me, at least. You know, if you didn't have a good voice for them, then you didn't have a good movie in front of you. Same with James Earl Jones as Mufasa. Thank goodness that he did that. John Oliver as Zazu. Very proud of that as well. The opening Circle of Life number, staying true to its roots, and just excellent job. And of course, the things that I didn't like, Beyonce and Donald Glover as their respective roles, it really upset me. Keegan-Michael Key being any part in this movie, you know, just keep your jokes at home, keep them on Comedy Central. They don't need to be in this friggin' movie. The use of Be Our Guest, a little nitpick, but just a little bothersome to me. The riffing and I Just Can't Wait to Be King, and Beyonce did it a couple of times, and Can You Feel the Love Tonight? You know, that's what she does, so whatever. Well, I certainly hope that you enjoyed my first installment in this new video series that I'm going to be doing, where I review movies past and present. If you have any movies that you'd like for me to review, if you liked how I reviewed this movie, then, you know, let me know if you'd like to. But yeah, if you have a movie idea that you'd like for me to review, I have probably seen the movie, so I'd be happy to do it. But yeah, thank you, and thank you for watching.